Hello, my name is Jimmy and this is the 2022 Kia Carnival. The Carnival is the brand new Sedona. Actually, in other parts of the world, it's been called the Carnival before, so it's nothing new. But this is a completely new van. But Kia doesn't want you to call it that. It's called the LUV, a lifestyle utility vehicle. But personally for me, I don't think it's neither. This SX trim here in Canada, or SX Premium in the US, this is more like a personal luxury vehicle, a PLV, PLOV maybe? But let's talk about that when we get to the inside and I'll show you exactly what I mean. But let's take a look at the outside first. As styling is subjective, I'll let you decide what you think in the comment section down below, but there's a few key things I do want to let you know about. Let's start off with the front end. This is a very, very sharp looking front end. I love just how much LED you have in front. LED fog lights, high beams, low beams, and daytime running lights. The only thing is I kind of wish the daytime running lights here would stay amber rather than just using it for turn signals, but that's just me. But the low beam here, the high beam in the center, and the fog lights, they really light up the road, and actually they look great as well. Speaking of looking great, this grille. I love just how much intricate detail there is on this kind of darker chrome that you get here in the middle. And depending on the trim that you get, that grille does change. But I just love the accents on it. Off to the side here, we get 19-inch wheels. Because this is the top SX trim here in Canada, they're blacked out. Personally, not a big fan, but you can let me know what you think in the comment section down below. There are some fake fender bulges on the side here, which does make it a little bit more SUV-ish in its shape. Moving back here, we got this blacked out A-pillar. I do like the look of that, just makes it a little bit more sporty. And you get this amazing line, stretches from the headlight all the way to the back. That belt line, it actually just splits the top half and the bottom half into two. We have some silver accents, and the best thing about it is this plaque right here. This trim, there's just something about it. It looks really, really cool. And it actually adds a lot to the overall presence of the vehicle. Because without this, it actually looks kind of plain. This adds a lot of flair. And speaking of flair, the back end. Because back here, they heavily styled this tail lamp, and I absolutely love it. This kink is very similar to the headlight, and just really flows with the vehicle. It goes almost the entire way, minus the Kia badge in the center. We do have our turn signal and reverse lights down on the bottom, which is a little weird, but that's okay. Overall, the look of the Carnival is actually very nice. It's not an SUV, but I do understand where it's coming from with its faux fender flares stamped onto the body itself. It gives the vehicle a little bit more definition. But because it is a van, we gotta take a look at the inside. If we stand behind the vehicle for a few seconds, the trunk will automatically pop open, revealing 40 cubic feet of space. It's actually one of the biggest in its class, and there's quite a bit of things that you can do with it as well. Because on one side, we do have a few cubbies here, so we can store a little bit more. And on the other side, we have a 12 volt as well as a 115 volt household electrical outlet, so you're able to plug in whatever your heart's desire. And behind the third row, there's some grocery hangers here so that, well, your groceries don't go flopping all over the place. And folding the rear seats, not too difficult actually. Just one lever right here, and it goes right down. It's a pretty fluid single action here, but it's definitely not as easy as the electric powered versions that you can get in the Pacifica. That is a little bit better, but well, this is definitely a lot faster. To bring the seat back up, it's just the reverse. You pull the lever, it goes up. They are hydraulically assisted, which means, well, it's just a little easier. And then you just pull this tab to bring the seat back up. So definitely not difficult. Let's get into that third row though. First off, I just love how big these sliding doors are. It just makes getting in and out of the vehicle a whole lot easier. But with these SX lounge seats that they call it, getting into the third row may not be that easy because you're gonna go in, you have to kind of go through the center here. You can't go around the sides as there just isn't enough room. And then when you're here, well, it's not as comfortable as you might think. I'm 5'11" and I cannot sit upright, simply because of the sunroof that's mounted above the second row. The cartridge system, well, the sunroof slides within the body and above the ceiling here. Because of that, it drops down this third row height. So me back here at 5'11", certainly not comfortable. However, you can get the 8-passenger variant of the Carnival, and for that, you don't get this third row or second row sunroof. And because of that, you get a little bit more headroom. All right, the second row. This is certainly where you want to be because these seats are a lot more comfortable than the ones in the third row. In terms of headroom, it's actually not that great. If I sit completely upright, my head still touches the ceiling here. So yeah, it's not the greatest with this second row sunroof in here. But if I slouch a little, then it's not too bad. But I'm gonna be honest, that shouldn't matter because these second row seats, because of the lounge configuration that you can have, well, there's a few things I gotta do first. All right, let me explain why I had to move the front seat forward and fold the rear seats down. In order for me to have my maximum length in this lounge seat, well, I actually had to do that because if not, they actually get in the way. Because these seats, they are manually adjustable fore and aft, so I can pull this lever here, move it fore and aft. But if they're on the outside edge like it is right now, there's a little bumper that gets in the way. So what I have to do is I gotta move it closer first, then I can move it back, all the way back. And when you're here, you get maximum legroom. I mean, I can't even touch the front row seats now. Perfect. But there's another button right on the side here, which activates the full lounge mode. Now it's like first class, but it gets better because there's a button, there it is. There's a leg rest. This takes just a little bit. One sec. Leg rest goes up, leg rest extends. Okay, now you're really in a first class experience back here. And because the seatbelt is attached to the seat itself, well, I can still be properly secured back here while the driver in front of me takes me to wherever I want to go. The seats, they're heated, they're cooled, and there's shades on the side to block out any privacy matters or anything like that. The only thing that's missing is massaging seats back here. And they'll be like the perfect S-Class. Like, that's exactly how it feels. It's so comfortable back here. Well, but these seats, while they're absolutely comfortable and they're great for adults to be back here to be in full relaxation lounge mode, they aren't the best when it comes to kids. As I showed you earlier, getting to the third row, well, you got to make sure that these seats are configured in a way where you actually have access. If I'm like this, there's no room in the center. I actually have to move it forward and out in order for that path to clear. And because they're powered, I can't fold that backrest forward to have easy access to that third row. I just can't. In fact, let me do a quick demonstration. All right, the seat is now moved as forward as it can. There isn't a lot of space to get to the third row from this angle. Like, it's just not comfortable. I mean, you can do it, but definitely not recommended. No. Moving them outboard, going through the center, that's the best possible solution. If you're interested, I did get a chance to put child seats inside this Carnival just to show you exactly how well it can family. If you're interested, I got that video linked, whichever the little pop-up banner comes on. I have a collect link, 2 films, and a flow just to show you exactly how well car seats fit inside the 2022 Carnival. If you're interested, I do have a link to the seats down in the description below. This is not a sponsored video by any chance, but let's go to the front seats and let me show you what there is up there. If I can get out of here first. All right, front seats of the Carnival. As you can see, it's quite spacious up here. Headroom, no longer a problem because the seats, I can actually scooch them down a little bit. Speaking of the seats, they're actually really wide and comfortable. They're heated as well as cooled. No massaging features here, but that's okay. They're supportive enough, I think, for a van. They're not as good as, well, like a sports car. This is aimed towards a comfortable, long-distance touring type seat. And yeah, I absolutely think it certainly hits that spot. In front of me, typical Kia steering wheel. Leather's nice on it. There's heated steering wheel on this, so that's nice. There are some dedicated buttons, which are quite easy to use. No real problems there. of course, the new Kia logo in the center. If it is a Kia logo, some say it's KM, some say it's KN. No one really knows, but we'll let Kia figure that out. Behind, I do have a full digital 12.3-inch cluster. The cluster itself looks good. There's a lot that it can display. The only thing is, well, it's just not as configurable as the ones that you find in like Volkswagen products. Those you can have like a full map, and it looks like they fully utilize that digital display. Whereas this, it just imitates an analog display. So between this and a regular analog display, there isn't a huge difference. But what you can do is when you switch to drive modes, it does change the layout itself, and that does look pretty cool. Above, I actually don't have a heads-up display, so you will have to look down at the cluster. Not really that bad. But the main infotainment, another 12.3-inch screen here. It's very similar to all the other systems that you find in Hyundai and Kia products. It works well. The only thing is, well, the home screen's just a little blank, because all it really shows is the time on the top right, the radio station on the bottom left, and the temperature. And that's really it. I mean, there is a map on the right, but it doesn't show any streets or anything. It's a very simplistic design, which some may like, but it's an absolutely useless home screen. Like the Pacifica that we had not that long ago, that has a really good home screen with a bunch of widgets that you can control, so you're able to really customize it the way you like. And the Honda Odyssey, everything is color-coded to make it easier to see. Because in this, nothing is color-coded. Everything is purple. So as you're driving down the road, you look down, you're going to get confused about the icons. Luckily, there is a row of dedicated buttons below, but unfortunately, those dedicated buttons, they are touch sensitive rather than physical buttons. But you still do get physical volume as well as tuning knob, which is nice. Down below that, I have more touch buttons for the climate control. I don't think that's too bad, because once you hit auto, you don't really have to worry about it. There are toggles for your temperature. That's really the only thing you need. And there's also a front and rear defrost physical button as well. So the things that you need the most, they're physical, and the ones that are kind of secondary, they're this touch sensitive buttons. So I think that's fine. Below that, I do have a USB port. These are the USB ports to enable Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto. Unfortunately, no wireless option here. And then the center console looks very similar to a lot of other Kia products. Traditional shifter, something that, well, the Pacifica doesn't have, neither does the Odyssey. So if you're looking for a traditional shifter in your minivan, this is one of them, or the Sienna. 2 cup holders, which is big enough for my lenses, which is nice. And then my heated and cooled seat controls. Oh, one more thing about the infotainment that I missed. There is a camera that's mounted right here in between the first and the second row. It allows you to, well, see whoever's in the second row. And I say just the second row because, well, because of the placement of it, the second row seats being that big and bulky, it's very difficult to see that third row through the camera. So the placement of it, it's definitely not as good as the Odyssey, which is a little bit further back, and the Pacifica, which is in the perfect placement between the second and the third row. Because of that placement, even if I had rearward facing seats, I can still see my children. This, I can't. But in any case, let's go for a drive because that does still matter. All right, behind the wheel of the 2022 Kia Carnival, and the first thing you're gonna feel is just how soft and comfortable it is. But that's normal. It's a van. It's supposed to be a people carrier, so being soft and comfortable, well, that's just the norm. Don't think of it as a sports car. It's as far away from that as you possibly can. But actually don't really have a lot of complaints. It's just comfortable. And that's really goes with that vibe of personal luxury vehicle that I was talking about earlier. But under the hood, we do have a 3.5 liter V6. There's no supercharging, no turbocharging. This good old naturally aspirated horsepower is here. 290 horsepower, 262 pound-feet of torque. All that power goes to the front wheels through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Sadly, no all-wheel drive, no hybrid, no plug-in hybrid is offered. At least not yet. We'll see what happens in the future. I mean, for the Kia Carnival to be competitive, it kind of needs, well, just a little bit more. So eventually, maybe, we'll see that. Who knows? In either case, 0 to 60 miles per hour comes in about 7 seconds. If that matters to you, and if you're taking your van drag racing. You're not. You're not going to be taking your van drag racing. So normally speaking, it has all the power that you really need. And when you need to go a little bit faster, you just put that foot down, makes a decent noise, and it hurries up. Really, there's no problem with this powertrain whatsoever. It suits the vehicle really, really well. But what you probably want to know is the safety features, because being a family vehicle, that's important. There are a few things that the Kia family does really well, Kia and Hyundai family, I should say. The cluster, for example. If you signal left or right, there's a little blind spot camera that activates, so you're able to see exactly, well, who's in your blind spot. It's a lot more informative than just the light or the beeping that comes on when you have like the blind spot warning. That's pretty typical and most vehicles have that. But it doesn't tell you exactly how far they are away, or maybe you're passing someone. This tells you everything because you can physically see. I mean, yes, you can still turn your head, but with the baby shades that I have up, it actually makes it quite difficult for me to see. So I do appreciate that. In terms of the active safety features, there's radar guided cruise control, collision mitigation braking, lane keep assist, all the things that you normally would find in a vehicle like this. And it all works really, really well. The lane keep keeps me in the center of the lane, so much so that I can actually be hands-off driving for a very short amount of time. And it just does it really well. The radar guided cruise, it's relatively smooth. Keeps up with the vehicle ahead. No real like drama or anything like that. It just makes this, well, stress-free driving. And if you're carrying kids, last thing you want is additional stress because of whatever reason. So I do appreciate that. Some other little features that can help with potential kids is, other than the passenger view that I talked about before, which activates a camera, there's also passenger talk. It uses the mic that's up here to basically broadcast your voice to the rear so that the rear occupants can hear you better. Or there's also a quiet mode where it actually cuts off the speakers in the rear and reduces the volume in the front. So, well, you don't have to wake up your kids. And these are just some of the little things that they thought of, and that's built into the infotainment, and it certainly does help. In either case, let me pull over here and give the Carnival a full-on summary. The 2022 Kia Carnival. This is actually a really, really good minivan. It gives you everything that you really need and at a price that you can actually afford, because a base price of the Carnival starts off at under 35,000 Canadian dollars. And this, the top trim, it's under 49,000 Canadian dollars. And if you're thinking, that's quite a bit of money, $50,000 for a van? Well, actually the Pacifica Pinnacle, that's 53,446. A Honda Odyssey Touring, 54,805. Or if you want the top range Sienna, that's 58,445. So the Carnival here, even with the amazing second row seats, it's priced below the competitors. That's actually the best thing about the Carnival. Its price point. It has basically everything that the other vans have at a fraction, well, not a fraction, but a lot less than the rest. And that's definitely something to consider. And Kia has a pretty good warranty as well. So there's just less to worry about if something was to go wrong. In the US, on the SX Platinum trim, you actually do get the rear seat entertainment system, which in Canada, for some reason, we don't get. So that's something else that you get in addition. In either case, thank you so much for watching this video. Like the video if you do. If you're a big fan of vans, big fan of fans? That sounds like it rhymes a little. Give it a like, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.